Hi, welcome to my latest video. Today I'm going to do a very quick video showing how to remove this panel and soundproofing. Okay, so this is part of the sort of firewall. It's like a primary firewall. There is the main bulkhead underneath the bottom of the windscreen, but this panel here serves to separate the engine compartment from the sort of scuttle area where the air intakes and the brake fluid reservoir and the ECU and lots of other things kind of reside up there. Now this panel here serves a very important purpose. It mustn't be removed permanently, otherwise your engine smells and fumes and oiliness will end up going down into the cabin. But if you are working in this area, like I'm going to be doing today, so I'm going to be trying to remove this PCV housing and also this ducting here. I'm sort of work in progress on that, doing my catch can upgrade part 2 video. So if I'm going to be removing all of that, it would just be a little bit easier, I think, if that panel was also removed, and it will give me an opportunity to get rid of this soundproofing, which is starting to disintegrate. It's pretty muddy and it just looks a bit of a mess, really. So that, I think, removes quite easily. There's some little kind of little clippy sort of plastic nut things here that sort of undo. They're like finger tight, and that allows the soundproofing starts to come away. So what I'll do is I'll remove the scuttle panel. I've got some masking tape here, and that is to stick to the windscreen to mark the positions of the wipers, because you've got to take the wiper arms off to remove the scuttle, okay? And then when you put the wipers back on, you want to get them in the same place, okay? So you mark up on the glass where they are, and then when you refit them, you just align them with tape, and you know that they're going to sort of wipe exactly like they did before. So, right, I'm going to put the camera on the tripod. I'll put that sort of up here, kind of facing like that. I'll remove the wiper arms, undo the scuttle, which is these funny little kind of like plastic screw rivety things. There are about 4 or 5 of those. And then the scuttle kind of, it's a bit of a job, but it can be removed. You have to sort of wiggle it out from behind the bonnet. Okay, and then when that's out, I'm going to try and find the bolts that hold that panel in, because it should just kind of slide out. It'd be interesting to see how it slides out, because there's kind of like cables and hoses and things going through it, so I don't quite know how that's going to come out with things going through it, but we'll find out. We'll find out, and then when it's out, I can get rid of that horrible soundproofing, throw that away, and I'll probably just refit it without any soundproofing. If the noise is a lot louder and it's not pleasant, I will get some new sort of self-adhesive silvery foam kind of soundproofing sheet and stick that on. Okay, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see if it's much noisier without that soundproofing. It looks quite thin, so I don't think it's really doing much. All it's doing is just making the engine compartment look a bit untidy. So, right, okay, I'll get the tools, I'll get the camcorder on the tripod and start undoing some things, and yeah, we'll see what's involved. Okay, so what I'm going to do first of all is just get some masking tape and put that on the windscreen. Right, and then for the wiper arms, you just pull off these kind of rubber caps. They'll just come off, and then I think it's a 15mm socket. Okay, so let's keep these things safe. the arms, you just work them off the stalks and they just come off. Now, okay, so let's have a little look and see what we've got. ABS unit there behind the battery, that's the alarm. There's the ECU. Got the brake servo. Okay, and brake fluid reservoir. And yeah, and then the sort of the wiper mechanism with the wiper motor up there. Okay, now I did a video a little while back about the sort of secret drain holes. Okay, so they are here, not this round thing, it's below that, it's here. Okay, there's a little sort of hole. If I zoom in, you can see there. Okay, and they get blocked up. And there's one on each side, and there is actually, apparently, look, there's one here as well. There's two little holes there. Okay, so let's see if there's one below that. No, there's not one below that. It's one below where the wiper stalk goes. Each of the wiper stalks plus the blank on the other side. And when I did the video about those, I sort of rubbed the mud through them and water kind of disappeared down into them, but was only coming out of the car, I think, on this side. Okay, so on this side you can see there's effectively a funnel. It's rubber with a sort of slit there. Alright, so now that's interesting. While this is out, I can actually tuck this away properly. This wiring here is for the heated windscreen. Okay, so if you have any heated windscreen issues, it's here, and also on the other side there's these kind of like sort of flexible kind of cables which rub precariously against the metal bodywork. The fuse for that is like crazy, 100 amp or something like that, 60 amps. You don't really want those wearing through. This here is the flap that does the recirc. There's actually the heater fan, you can actually see it in there. So the water that comes through those holes disappears down here, and it sort of goes down, it like kind of runs down the back of the, like the top side of the plastic wheel arch liner, and then dribbles out down the back. Not great really for kind of corrosion and that really. If you've got a load of mud sitting behind here, it's just going to be permanently wet. It's going to rot that out in no time. So I have done a video on lanyard guarding recently. I did the underside, under the back. I did underneath the sills, but not behind the sill covers. I've still got to do that. And I did, I think, this wheel arch. Trying to remember if I've done the rear wheel arches or not. I don't think I have. So I've still got lanyard guarding to do. So it's a kind of rust proofing substance, like an oily greasy substance that's made from sheep wool, and apparently it's really good for keeping rust away. So I need to carry on doing that lanyard guarding. Winter is approaching rapidly. It's November now, and it's not too cold today, but it will be soon, and then there'll be salt and grit on the roads and all that. So what I've got here on this side, there's a reason why I didn't see that water coming out on this side, and that's because it's just pooling here and it's not finding its way into its funny little flappy sluice gate thing there. Okay, so no doubt when this builds up, or I go around the corner, it will find its way down there. But this plastic tray could almost do with sort of being lifted up a bit actually, to try and get the water to go down the hole. Yes, actually, I wonder what's below there. Let's have a look. I hate to think what is below there. Now this wire is for my light bar. Let's get that up out the way. Oh my god. Can't really lift it. Okay, there's sort of like a big hole down there. I hate to think where that goes and what's lurking down. There's probably loads of rusty mud and all sorts trapped down there. So it does really pay to remove the plastic wheel arch liners once in a while and just kind of give everything a bit of a clean out. It's better to do it in summer actually, and then you can just wire brush out all the dry mud. If you do it in winter, it's going to be a right mess. Right, okay, yeah, a bit mucky around here, but we can see this panel now. There it is, it's that, and you actually need this in place in order to fit the scuttle screws back in. So it doesn't go all the way across, it only goes from here to the battery, and it's held on by a little bolt here. Okay, so there's a small, what appears to be an M10, well not M10, a 10mm bolt head there. Let's have a little look over here. Right, now there's another one here, okay, here. Now this pipe, I'll just zoom that a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. So this pipe, this is the vacuum pipe, okay, so that is the, it comes from a vacuum pump, okay, because a diesel doesn't have high inlet vacuum to use for brake servo and that, it has the air, there's no kind of proper throttle body to close and generate a high vacuum. So it has a vacuum pump which then pumps and well, sucks and makes a vacuum in that pipe. It's a plastic pipe, but it's a rigid sort of plastic vacuum pipe. That goes off and here to this thing here, which may be a control valve, or more likely a warning sensor. I'm not totally sure. Not sure if that is a sort of like a valve to apply the vacuum when required. You know, for example, when the brake pedal's pressed. More likely, because it's got a little diaphragm thing here, more likely that sucks down the diaphragm, and there's a little pin switch in there, and that would alert you if for example you press the brake pedal and this is not seeing a vacuum, then you've effectively got brake failure almost. I mean, you'll be running on human power alone, which yeah, my Mini used to have that. It was hard work. So yeah, brake servo is there to take the hard work out of applying the brakes. You do need it. Okay, so this is the brake fluid reservoir. There's a little top up, and that actually does the clutch as well, as far as I know. It's hydraulic clutch. There isn't another reservoir for the clutch, so it's a shared reservoir. Okay, right, I'm going to see if I can get this panel out. I'm going to undo these two screws. I'm going to try and pull it out with the soundproofing. I don't know if I need to remove the soundproofing first, but it's going to be a little bit of a job pulling the soundproofing out with everything in place. So I'm hoping the whole panel comes out and then I can rip off the soundproofing. So I'm going to undo those two and see if it starts to move. Right, let's try 8. Okay, it is 8, I think. Yeah, it is. It is 8, but they're quite tight. I'm going to remove these plastic kind of nut things. I may have to rip out the sound insulation, the soundproofing layer, in order to see what's going on. Oh. Right. What a mess. Okay. Right, there is the soundproofing. That's in a pretty sorry state. The bottom part of it is just completely disintegrated. Either that or it's left half of it on the car. Okay, well it looks better with bare metal now, although it's quite muddy, so I want to try and clean that up. I can see more bolts. There's more bolts down there. Hold on, let me. Right, I'll just try and zoom in there. Zoom that in there. Right, there are 2 more bolts here. They're going to be quite difficult to get to. And over this side, there's another one. There. Try and focus. Okay. Right. So, whoever it was that said it was 2 bolts and just pull it out, not true. Okay, right, I'll undo those now, but it looks like you do have to pull out the soundproofing in order to get to those. So if you're removing this and you want to keep your soundproofing, you're going to have to try not to destroy it in the process like I have. Yeah, either that or very, very carefully kind of pull it away and try and get down there with a spanner somehow. Right, I'm going to remove that one, remove those 2, and see if it finally starts to move. Right, okay, so I've got that one out. I'm going to remove those 2 now. It's started raining out here. Pit Lane Kitty is not happy at all. Okay, yeah, not a great day to remove the scuttle really. Rain's going everywhere, so I've just put that over the ECU. It was a toss-up between the battery and the ECU. I think the ECU is probably more vulnerable to water, so I've just kind of put that right, sort of so to just kind of cover that over, because of course without the scuttle, rain is just getting all over everything really. So yeah, okay, autumn in the UK, not the best time of year to work on the car really. Right, okay, that's out. So getting it loosened off and then reaching down and doing the rest by hand, otherwise it's going to drop. Mind that stud sticking out, it's quite sharp and it's completely ripped my gloves. Okay. Right, let's see if it moves now. Ooh. Ooh. Right, I've unclipped this vacuum hose here. Didn't have to unclip anything here. Right, come on. What is... Something over here is stopping that from coming up. Ah, it's the vacuum hose. Come out. Right, I think it's coming out. There we go. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. There's the panel. Okay, there's just a kind of shaped bit of steel. I'll clean that up, refit that, cut these threaded studs off, put some rust treatment on as well. Okay, so I've given this a little bit of a clean up. I've just kind of rinsed it with the hose and sort of scrubbed it down a bit. It's still a bit muddy, but that's fine. In the summer, maybe I'll take that off and possibly spray it with some silver paint or black paint or something like that. For now, I just want to get rid of these studs here, so I'm going to cut those off with a multi-tool. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to treat this rust. Okay, the other side is fine. It's only on this side, which I think was this was the engine side, because there's the studs where the soundproofing went. So it's just where water or mud has got sort of caught up there and rusted that. And I've bought this stuff. Okay, so this was recommended by one of my viewers. It is a rust proofing substance. I did my Lanagard video and I showed using, oh, I don't know, it was like Genolite or Rust-Oleum or one of the treatments. I can't remember what it was. Q-Rust, I think it was called, and it was really runny, and it was sort of trying to paint it underneath the car, and it was dripping all over me. Okay, so this was recommended as being a much better alternative. Although shaking the bottle, I think this is just as runny actually. I did read a few reviews on Amazon, and people were sort of saying, "Oh, you've got to give it a real good shake up because stuff settles at the bottom of the bottle." So I'll give it a good shake, and then I'll try and sort of brush some on. I'm guessing is phosphoric acid. That's what most of these rust treatments are, and it actually sort of turns the iron oxide, the rust, into iron phosphate, I think, which is inert and is sort of black, kind of hard substance, which will then not rust anymore. So yeah, what does this say? Shake well before use. Remove loose rust. So I've given it a wire brushing. Maybe I'll give it a little bit more, and then I'll paint a bit of this on and see what it actually does. Really see what happens. I'm expecting the rust to go black, black or blue. That's usually what happens with this kind of stuff. So, but yeah, there you go. Built Amber Hydrate 80 Rust Killer Barrier System. Can't remember how much that was. Wasn't too expensive. I think it was like 15 to 20 pounds. A big bottle of it, actually. A big bottle. This is 500 mils actually. So enough to do several Land Rovers. Right, let's get a bit of that on. I'll cut these studs off first. Do that and paint some of this on. It's starting to get a little bit darker. Probably got about an hour, and then it's going to be dark. And yeah, I need to get all this back together and then go inside in the warm and edit this video. Pit Lane Kitty's out here. She's gonna not get involved in this because she's going to end up with rust treatment on her fur. Kitty, out of there. Out. Right, no, you're not sitting there when I'm doing this. Right, go on. For once, I don't need you to help me with this. Okay, right. I only need a little bit. Well, first impressions, it's very runny. interesting really, because my complaint about the other stuff was it was too runny, and somebody said, try this, it's much better. Yeah, it's just as runny. It may work better, but it's still no good for applying up above you underneath the car. So if anybody knows of a rust treatment that's thick and looping, can be applied up underneath on a surface above you, then let me know. Whoever it was that suggested this one wasn't really what I was after. Never mind. I'm sure it's really good at rust proofing. We'll find out in a moment when this dries. It's going on just like a sort of kind of paint. It is drying very, very quickly. I mean, that's even on a wet day like this, that's actually drying already. Okay, so this built amber stuff has dried now, and it's kind of like a mauvey coloured translucent paint. The rusty patches, yeah, not quite dry yet. Ugh. Okay, maybe it's not quite dry yet. Nearly dry. The rusty patches have gone sort of dark, not black, but just dark coloured. So yeah, running out of time a bit. It's starting to get dark a little bit out here, so kind of need to get this refitted. I was sort of hoping that was dry. It looked dry. Yeah, still a bit wet in places. Yeah, if it was a hot summer's day, that would be dry in no time, but not at this time of year. Okay, right, I'll give it another 10 minutes and then I'll get some gloves on and try and slot this panel back in. Okay, easier said than done. Oh, dear me. There we go, there's the trick. Lower that end first, get it round this thing here, this vacuum pipe, and then oh god. Right. Okay, I'm going to have to stop filming. It's now pouring with rain. Okay, right. I finally got that in. That was hard. That was really, really difficult to get that in. Okay, so I had to sort of put it in kind of like downwards and get that end in, and then this end has to get past that big nut there, and it just suddenly slotted into position. But I did remove my ducting here. Much better visibility of what's going on, and the problem was, if you can even see it, it's where the heater hoses go through. Down here there's a big grommety thing, big grommet. Hopefully you can see that. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. Yeah, it's that thing there. I'm trying to get that so that it wasn't sort of derailed. It's got to sit around the sort of kind of arch-shaped cutout in the bottom of this panel. Okay, and there's a kind of a groove around it, so you've got to get that lined up. So I got this in a couple of times, and the grommet was skewed. And the problem then is that the heater hoses were, now see if we can even see them here. Yeah, it's difficult to see them really. Oh, down, right, yeah, down there. You can see the heater hoses going through, and the grommet's got to be sort of sat nicely around the hoses, not with the hoses rubbing against the edge of the metal, otherwise they'll cut through and there'll be a coolant leak. Right, this is in there loosely. I'm just going to clip that back into there, and I'm going to put a couple of bolts in. I'm going to put one here and one here, and that'll do it for now. Okay, because next weekend I want to replace this cam cover, which means taking everything out again. Okay, so if it's dry, I will remove that and give it a coat of paint. I don't know what colour yet, probably black or grey, I would have thought. Maybe sort of silver. I have to see what coloured paints I've got, but everything else kind of in the engine bay is this matte grey. It's not Lego metallic grey like the bodywork, but it's just this sort of engine bay grey. Okay, so so I might just kind of paint that the same colour, just so it all blends in, or maybe go for something a bit better like silver or black. We'll see. Worry about that next weekend. The important thing is it's in there. I'm going to get a couple of bolts in now, and yeah, and then put the ducting back on. Okay, right. Panels bolted in. Put one bolt there. I was going to put this one here, but that doesn't actually even go into the panel. Okay, so that one up in there, you can see there, it's not actually part of this firewall panel. It doesn't seem to actually do anything, so I've just left that one out really. It goes into a sort of welded on sort of nut on the other side, but it's not part of this, so I don't know what that's attaching, but it serves no purpose at all, so I've left that one out. I've put in that one there, that one there, so that is now solid enough to refit the scuttle. I've also put my ducting back in, so scuttle panel going on now, and then the wiper arms, and then we're done. Okay, that's it. Scuttle panel back together, put the screws in, battery cover, wiper arms back on, and take my tape off the windscreen now. Wiper arms are back in the same positions they were before, and that is it. That's it. So hope that video was useful. If you do want to remove your inner firewall, primary firewall, whatever that bulkhead thing is called, hopefully this video will show you how to do it. It is fiddly getting it out and putting it back in, but if you persevere you should be able to get that relocated in quite easily. Right, that's it for tonight. Next weekend I'll be doing catch cam part 2. I'm going to be removing that rocker cover or cam cover, PCV housing, whatever it's called, and then I need to do the glow plugs. So that will be fuel filter, manifold off, take swirl flaps out at the same time. Major job. This was easy compared to what I've got coming up. Right, that's it. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.